Now I'm going to take a slightly different turn with my next question, slightly. So one of the missing components that I've seen, and I know that you're aware of this as well, when it comes to personal development work, when it comes to doing work with people, especially with parents and teachers, are programs catered for men. So there seems to be this missing piece. Now, what I wanted to know is what strategies do you have that can assist the male viewers in our community? Or what strategies are you working on, or anything like that that you're aware of, or know of, or are developing that could assist that part of the community?
Boy, male empowerment. That's an interesting thing. When I was bullied back when I was younger, I think the one thing I was bullied about the most was my masculinity. Now, this comes from my own dynamic back then when I was very much attached to my mom, and I think a lot of guys have that. I was talking with a person who's very good at therapy and writes very cool books on therapeutic philosophy in a way. And she was saying that the biggest challenge that we have as a culture is men who are stuck being addicted to the nipple.
Right.
And this is true. I mean, I noticed this in my own life and many other people's lives, where we tend to either look to attract the opposite of our mom and our mate, or attract the thing. And it all depends on how addicted we are to that dynamic. So it's interesting the dynamics that happen because of that. But it's also interesting to notice what occurs because of that. And one of the things is fear. So whenever we are, as a man, addicted to some support system, some pleasure system, some comfort system, whatever it is, we do totally shut down our masculinity. And that's when we attract bullies, male bullies, to come in and beat us down. And we also attract so-called male relationships to beat us up. And it's all trying to wake us up to own that we're men.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with women. It's not just men only.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much all across the game. So I've just noticed that fear is the number one shutdown system for man or masculinity in a way. So I started thinking, okay, how can I help that? Because I've noticed this all the time. I mean, I get guys coming in here who want help with therapy, relationships, and I'll just look at them and be like, guys, your woman is obviously asking you to man up, and you're scared to because you think it's going to hurt her, but she's asking you, and they don't understand. I can't get. It's funny to notice this with people. So I was constantly wondering for two reasons: how could I help them in a way that would be really cool, and how could I help myself? Like, what would be the ultimate experience that would have helped me at the time, and even now for a few things, really overcome my fears, really overcome my limits, really overcome my inhibitions or my limitations on being a masculine energy kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So I came up with a thing called Man Camp. And in Man Camp, there's man therapy. And the idea here is basically that it's a camp where we're going to go and do all sorts of crazy cool things. And, it could be jumping out of an airplane, it could be boxing or having a fight. It could be destroying stuff, like whatever it is. It exists, and there's all sorts of cool activities that people do. And people come in and take them on, it's just trips. It's basically a trip. And it's a trip that has all sorts of exercises involved in it to help us overcome our sort of wimpy limitations and own some aggression and start to express this stuff and realize that it's okay to do that. We have a culture that we built where we all live in boxes and we live in a condo and all this stuff, and we're supposed to have a nice lawn and a car and a family and all this stuff. But none of our culture is based upon expressing that. And because of that repression of aggression, both on the man and the woman's side, we have all sorts of so-called mental challenges because we're not able to own where we're naturally aggressive. So I just realized, well, if I can create exercises and cool little activities that we can use and do to empower and express our aggression, we can have an incredible change in a person. And I mean, it's cool to watch that happen. I find I brought out and did this, but we'll just go and destroy something. You know, if it's not a piece of property, it's something, some kind of trash or whatever. They'll just destroy it. And it's so cool what happens because they get this thing where it's like, I like this. I like this. There's something in this for me. I like it. And what it will be is a sense of, wow, this is me. This is authentic me. This is a part of me that I've forgotten. And they're usually very thankful afterward because they're like, wow, I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could be this way. It's funny. Most people are scared to go and destroy something. It's fascinating to watch this. And, you know, anything you're scared of is a limit on your success. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I can get a person used to doing whatever they're scared of, you know, I'm not saying that they're scared of beating somebody up or whatever, but if so, we're going to go and do some boxing. But these are just kind of the activities that I made up to help people do that. And so I think Man Camp is a very cool, just a little camp, a trip camp kind of thing, that gets people to do what they normally wouldn't do. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool to help with children and bullied kids, all this stuff, because they're very and fear is the biggest limitation. And I know where fear comes from. It comes from addiction to support systems. You're only scared of losing up to your infatuated. So we have to get used to being able to dissolve our attachments by opening up and moving through our fear zone. And when we do, we change. So that's what I did with me. And I mean, I've helped people do this, and the results are astonishing. I'm surprised more people don't do this sort of thing. But I mean, for every void there's a value, and I just provide value. So.
Of course. Well, I mean, I certainly love the idea of Man Camp. I mean, something that I thought of while you were talking about it, particularly when you're talking about aggression. I know that there are probably people who'll be watching this going, aggression, and they'll automatically assume it's physical, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what most people attach aggression to, is physical action. But I'm assuming from what you mean by aggression is different forms of that. It's not necessarily physical, it's not necessarily verbal, it could just be some other form of that, where people can just express that part of themselves and learn to love that, I guess. Because I guess one thing that I know, because I can be aggressive in certain ways too, especially when it comes to business, especially when it comes to growing my vision, I can be aggressively committed to doing that. And I've found that the more I have empowered that in myself, the greater the results I've had in the growth of my business and in the growth of myself personally. So I can totally see how that would assist, particularly, I mean, men for sure, women as well, because women have that missing a sense. It's not really missing, it's just not realized, so to speak, or made aware of. They have that too. So I think it's a wonderful idea to really challenge people against some of these things that they're so scared to express. Purely because I've seen evidence of what that does in my own life when I've done that. And with a lot of the clients that I've worked with as well, as much as you have. So I'm quite excited from a business owner and someone who's really trying to help young kids, as well as parents and teachers, to become really empowered and inspired leaders. I'm really quite excited to see where your strategy around assisting males, as well as potentially females at some point as well, will take our parents and our teachers and these kids, where it'll take them. So I'm quite excited by